ISO द्वारा प्रमाणित महाराष्ट्र पोलीस न्यूज 24.live.
In terms of what do you feel are the most important sectors जिनके अराउंड हमें वुमेन सेंट्रिक पॉलिटिक्स बिल्ड करने की जरूरत है? रिसेंट बजट आया, उसमें कम से कम बहुत सारे कोर्स का कहना है कि 10% बजट का जो हिस्सा है वो महिलाओं के होना चाहिए, उनसे रिलेटेड पॉलिसीज के लिए होना चाहिए, बट कुल मिला के देखें तो 2% भी नहीं है. तो पहला सवाल थोड़ा जेनरिक है कि आपके दिन में क्या चीजें इंपॉर्टेंट है करनी जिससे महिलाओं को लाया जा सके पॉलिटिक्स में और रिप्रेजेंटेशन में. और दूसरा समथिंग स्पेसिफिक अबाउट बजट कि आपके स्टेट में या फिर जनरली इंडिया में आपको क्या लगता है कौन से सेक्टर्स में महिलाओं के लिए बजट एलोकेशन की सबसे ज्यादा जरूरत है इमीडिएट रिक्वायरमेंट?
Firstly, thank you for having all of us on this panel. It's a very enlightening Sunday for all of us. When we talk about gender budgeting, it's a very wide subject, and it's not just restricted to gender budgeting in Parliament or gender budgeting in our national budget, but gender budgeting in all areas where women are working. Even if it's the household, or whether it's agriculture, or whether it's private companies. मैं उस कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी को 15 साल से रिप्रेजेंट एज एन MLA कर रही थी जहाँ पे BD वर्कर्स बहुत थे, एंड यू स्पोक अबाउट अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड लेबर. There are a huge number of women in unorganized sector. You'll be shocked to know that 73% women are working in the agricultural sector, but still we don't have land rights over there. Of course, Mr. Khurshid will be able to, talk about it more because he's such a senior advocate. But so there are still very many gaps and lacunae, and I think, like Divya said, no matter how much budgeting you do, no matter how many laws you have on paper, till there's a mentality change of looking towards women, and not just in our country. I'm very proudly saying that I belong to a party and organization which was able to give India its first female prime minister in the form of Indira Gandhi, and because of which all of us I know we have that courage because we see women like her fight. I proudly say that because today there's a lot of Trump and Musk thing, charcha going on everywhere, where I feel ashamed that at one point in time our head was held high when Mrs. Gandhi was the Prime Minister. The other Prime Ministers, the other leaders of states used to literally bend, or she commanded respect, she never demanded respect. But today the state of affairs is so grim that our people are coming handcuffed in our own country. And that says a lot about leadership. And the reason I'm saying that because they are still not ahead of their times where they are able to give a woman president to their society. In spite of Hillary Clinton contesting this time, we saw Kamala Harris. They're not able to accept that. So I think our society is far more progressive when it comes to that. But at the same time, I'd like to say that men don't like to see women in power. Across all organizations, whether it's politics, whether it's the corporate sector, whether it's at home. So how do we change that? And is gender budgeting really going to give you that empowerment? Or is your mental change, a change in mentality, going to give you that empowerment? So, like for example, in Maharashtra, we after the whole Nirbhaya thing, we had very stringent laws. Laws are from our side, apne bazu se hai. But how many women are actually going to the police station to file those complaints? Because we're still so scared. Ye kya kahega, wo kya kahega. If I go to the police station and file a complaint, all the hands, everybody will tell me it's your fault. This mentality has still not changed, unfortunately, and I feel all of us as women in responsible positions, may not be authoritarian. You use a very important term over here. It's not just representation, it's about representation with power. If there's no power, then like Divya said, you'll just be sarpanchpati, you'll just be namesake. So representation with power, I would say forget representation, just power. Just the fact that a woman can be heard, like BD Kamdars, for example. They earn money. They earn a lot of money. They are the breadwinners for their family. So they're, the finances. But do they really have the power at home? They give their finances to the husband, who will then use it to purchase a bottle of, what I mean. So, and then if he's angry, he will beat her up. Domestic violence. How is budget helping that girl who is getting abused by her husband every day, day in and day out? Financial stability is very important along with mental stability is what I feel. The governments need to concentrate on an all-rounded approach. It's just not about budgeting. So when we talk about budgeting, let's talk about budgeting in all areas, right? If I don't have land rights, then what's the point? Or if I'm a BD worker and if I'm not able to voice my opinion. Having said that, reservations has played a very important role because she was able to take the first step. If there was no reservation, that first step also would not have happened. Right? So that first step, so that is a means to an end. It's not the end. Reservation is means to an end. It's up to us how we utilize that reservation. If you're just going to be a puppet there, then it's of no use. So for that, it's our struggle at the end of the day. It's the female struggle, it's the woman's struggle. Exert yourself, put yourself in a position of power. And it's not easy, but at least this 50% reservation in local self-government has helped women across parties, not just the Congress party. And that I think is a milestone step today. हमारे ऊपर, we dynasty politics. But because of 50% reservation, my Solapur Municipal Corporation had over 70% women who didn't have backgrounds, political backgrounds, who was probably a teacher, who was a homemaker, who was a lawyer, who was probably nothing. But so many women contested that election and so many women won that election. That by itself gave them a sense of power. Confidence, I think, plays a very important role when it comes to empowerment for women. 2005-2006 was again a milestone budget because for the first time, women-specific schemes were introduced in that budget, and 30% schemes with allocation for women were introduced. And obviously, the Women and Child Department was, I think, introduced around them, which was given all the power. But again, I say, like for example, self-help groups is such a huge movement in our country. And it is, if you see, around the country, around everywhere, self-help groups are on paper, the names are there, the women are given loans. And what are these loans used for? To pay earlier loans. Those loans are not used for them to, start maybe like in Maharashtra, you say a bhandar, where you can. जब गांव में कुछ शादी होती है, these women come together and they make food like a catering, like a mini catering thing, or maybe a juice like a sugarcane machine you give, sugarcane juicing machine you give them. Make them self-reliant. Don't make them dependent on you. And this is what I've seen across all parties, across all political systems. Is government does the hand holding, but they become dependent.
महाराष्ट्र पोलीस न्यूज 24 साठी सोलापूर जिल्हा प्रतिनिधी मोहसिन आतार. अशाच नवीन अपडेटसाठी आता सबस्क्राइब करा महाराष्ट्र पोलीस न्यूज 24 या न्यूज चॅनलला. व्हिडिओ आवडला असेल तर लाईक, शेअर आणि कमेंट करायला विसरू नका. धन्यवाद.